for most of their life. My father moved upstate and died immediately afterwards. My grandparents, my paternal grandparents, are born and raised in Glen Cove. My grandfather, my grandmother came from Canada. She was a nurse up in Robertsonville, Canada, up on the Restigouche River. She was a nurse. Her parents wanted her to have a better life than they have, and they put her like a Norman Rockwell painting on a train with a case, and they sent her to Brookline, Massachusetts to train to be a nurse. She was very young. She trained, she's a nurse, and she's working on a patient, and her patient says, a friend of mine, J.P. Morgan, lives in Glen Cove, New York, and they're building a brand new hospital, and they need good nurses like you. Hence, that's how she came to Glen Cove.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother, my grandparents on my mother's side, my grandfather came from Seacliff. His parents were from Alsace, Lorraine. So we say that they were German. We assume they were German. We really don't know. If I do some better ancestry, I can really look into that. His name was Jacob Miller. And my grandmother, her ancestry goes way, way back. Her name was Ann Daly, D-A-I-L-E-Y. There are a lot of people that are related to all of the Dalys, and they have all certainly different last names. She was born and raised on Maple Avenue. Her father was born on Cottage Row, and her grandfather, Peter Daly, came from Ireland at the end of the 1840s and worked in the Duryea Starch Works. So if they lived on Cottage Row at that time, maybe that was a house owned by Duryea Starch Works, but the story always went that if they needed any food or anything, they could buy it in the Duryea store and then pay for it out of their salary. So as he had twins, I guess he utilized that, but I have here a transfer of property for when he bought his house on the 5th day of the 2nd month in 1878. Peter and his wife bought a house in Glen Cove, town of Oyster Bay, county of Queens. It was all different then. And they bought this house, and it is on Maple Avenue. And the young man that owns the house now, I showed this to him, and maybe I'll give it to him someday or make a copy of it. But if you can see, there are thumbprints.
Oh, wow.
I believe those were thumbprints because there's no signature on here. But this would have been the deed of sale at that time. Isn't that amazing?
Amazing.
The whole property. Yeah, and I showed this to the gentleman that lives there now. They're a very nice family with a bunch of kids. He said he was told his house was built in, the late 1800s, but this is 1878. So
You have the original in your house? You have the original?
no, this is what I got from my cousin Jeannie Daly, who's deceased. She gave me this because I'm into family history. But isn't this cool? Like to have something like this? I was going to hang it in my office, but being that it's two-sided, it didn't do anything. So they spelled Daly differently every single time that they wrote it here.
Even on the same document.
Right.
Wow.
So that's how far back they